So we're going to talk today about building a site that aggregates content from multiple websites. It took me years to realize I could do this myself because I want to show you this. It's kind of called a WordPress planet. This is Planet WordPress, and it is an aggregation of all of these sites you see on the side, and it just pulls them all into one site. Planets came out years ago. I used to watch the Mozilla Planet back in the 90s when Firefox was invented and stuff like that. But personally, I mentioned in my intro, I've been doing this a long time, and I've been writing blogs and making videos and stuff on other people's websites for years, almost never on my own. People were just like, "Hey, Topher, you do a blog post?" I'm like, "Sure, whatever." Somebody would pay me to do a series of videos. I'd do them, and they'd sit on YouTube or wherever. And then a couple summers ago, I started thinking about my personal brand. If I ever wanted to go freelance again, and somebody said, "Show me all your work," I didn't have it. I couldn't say, "Go to this one place and see all my work." I'd have to send them 35 URLs. So I was trying to figure out a solution. And I realized that every place I've ever blogged or made videos or whatever has an RSS feed. And WordPress is wonderful at importing RSS. So this is Topher.how, and this is what I came up with. It's not very attractive. It's mostly proof of concept. But under posts, you can see stuff I've done for GoDaddy Garage, stuff on Medium and my own blog. Video, some stuff for BigCommerce on the Winning WP site, WordPress.tv, WPGR is my local meetup. Plugins that I've done, live events is probably, nope, it's not empty. I need to put stuff on there for my upcoming stuff. I don't maintain this very well. And live events is not from RSS. But you can request a speaking thing, and there's the thing about me in contact and whatever. So this is kind of my home base. And the way I started out was with a plugin called Feedsy, which has a free version and a pay version. If you're going to do this for more than a hobby, you're probably going to want to pay for something. Either Feedsy or my other site uses WP All Import, and we're going to look at that in a minute. But rather than make a new one, we'll just go edit, and you give it a name, and you put in a source, and you can optionally use a category. I don't have one. And then filters allow you, this is in the paid one, allow you to say, I only want certain parts of a feed. So in WordPress, fortunately, every author has their own feed, so you don't have to try and filter out your own stuff. But if you had a feed with a bunch of mixed authors and stuff, you could use this filters area to say, only pull out posts by a person. Then you map the content, and this is something you're going to have to do with every plugin. We're going to look at 2 different plugins, but there are a dozen, and you could write your own. It's not that hard. But you always have to map the fields of RSS to what you want in WordPress. So I'm going to put my stuff in as a post type. I'm going to add these 2 taxonomies. Status is published. My title is going to come from the item title in an RSS item. You know what? I'm sorry. I didn't ask. Does anybody need an explanation of RSS? Speak up or forever hold your peace or whatever.
I will also be monitoring the chat. So if anyone has questions and wants to throw them in there, I'll bring them up.
Cool. Thanks. So there's title, date, and content. And there's not a whole lot else. Oh, and there's image, featured image. There's not a whole lot else involved in a post or an RSS item. And so they map really nicely. And then general feed settings. I do have removed duplicate items, so I don't end up with duplicates. And then how many items do you import from the source? This will change based on when you're doing the import. For example, If I wanted to import all of hallwaychats.com or something, there's like 140 items. And so I would set this really high, but then after that initial one, come back, set it much lower, so you only get new stuff as it comes out. And that's really it for Feedsy. There are feed categories, which I'm not even using. Settings for things like what you want to do with images, with proxies. Some feeds require authentication, etc. So this was the beginning. This is how I got started. And as you can see, it just puts them in as posts. And I use categories for both type of media. So this is video, this is posts. I don't know why they're on opposite sides. But then also source. So WordPress.tv, Master WP, etc. Then the next site I want to show you is something that we did for HeroPress. This is called WP Podcasts. And this does essentially the same thing, but for every WordPress podcast in the world that I know of. And I'm pretty sure we've got them all. And right now we have imported 10,628 episodes. And as recently as today. See, just today, there's just two today. Often there are as many as 6 or 7 in a given day. And I was very surprised to learn how many Spanish ones there are. Obviously, English is going to be the first language, but Spanish is second by far. There's probably 7 or 8 Spanish ones. And I don't know of a third or fourth language. There might be one in here somewhere. But that's random data. So for this, I chose to use WP All Import. And for a couple of reasons. Well, let me tell you why I paid for it. You can download a file from URL. So you can just paste in the RSS feed. If you don't pay for it, you can't do that. You have to actually download an RSS file and upload it here, and then do it again tomorrow, and then again the next day. I didn't want to do that. If you pay for it, you can download the file and it'll save it and rerun it every day. And that's great. So let's see. I'm not going to go too far on it. Let's go back here. I will grab Bob's and then copy link address. So I want to talk a little bit about data structure. I'm pulling in podcasts as categories. So we'll come back to this import here in a sec. So podcasts are categories, which means there they all are. And so Do the Woo should be right in here somewhere. There's Do the Woo. And it has a description. And I also used a plugin to make this WYSIWYG. Otherwise, it's just plain text. And I use ACF to make a logo. 3 fields, actually. Logo, site, and RSS URL. So when you're looking at one on the front end, there's that image, and there's the homepage and the RSS that are coming from custom fields. Otherwise, this is the taxonomy term title and the taxonomy description. And the reason I did it this way, making podcasts be categories, is that it magically makes this archive page. All I have to do is put episodes into the category, and it's there. I thought long and hard about making podcasts be a custom post type, because that also fits. But then you don't magically get the archive page. And one of my requirements for building the site is that it be low impact, easy to build, easy to maintain. So I went with off-the-shelf plugins and in-place data structures. So let's go back to the importer. And so if I'm going to import a category, I put in the feed and I hit download. Now, RSS feeds have two main sections, the header and then a list of episodes. And so I want to get the header for this one. And you do that by default, you're looking at items. And so here's the first item. There are 402 of them. But I want to come all the way down here and we switch from item to, oh, what was it? I don't remember. Header. No, let me look real quick. Oh, Bob, what are you doing? View page source. I'll make this big so you can see it. We want channel. That's what it is. So I put in channel. And now what I have here is not an item or list of items. And you can see it says 1 of 1 right here. And it has things like the title, the atom link, the description, copyrights, subtitle. Podcasts have a lot of extra RSS items like iTunes stuff, Google stuff. This one is Google, etc. So then, oh, there's my items. So to continue to step 3. And as I mentioned with the Feedsy one, you have to map what items from here go over here. And the first time you do it, it's a little tedious, but not too hard. And you can do things like drag. Oh, come on. Oop. The UI is a little wonky. This works way better in Firefox. Why can't I drag it? Well, when it highlights, you can see it. Oh, there we go. There we go. See, it's highlighted green. Now I can just simply click over here. And then for description, oh, all right, maybe I have to double click. There we go. So that's it. That's all I'm doing for mapping. However, once you've done it once, you can save this template, and I'm going to load template, and boom, it preloads everything. So under images, I want this. I didn't change any other settings. Term meta, I'm not using terms. This is a term. Here's another reason I paid for it. I got the Advanced Custom Fields add-on, which allows me to put the image into the custom fields, as well as the link and the atom link. I don't think I'm using, none of those. I have some very custom code here that you probably will not need to use. I'm using a plugin called Post Promoter, which tweets on post. The problem is with this importer, it writes the data after the post is created. And so on post creation, it's actually empty. And so Post Promoter Pro wasn't sending. So the good people at WP All Import wrote this custom code for me without me even really asking, which is tremendous support. And they just said, paste it in here. And I did, and it works. So now every time a new podcast is imported, a new podcast episode is imported, there's a tweet about it. And you can follow WP Podcasts and every day see 5 or 6 tweets about new episodes. So quick review. Each of these maps to an item over here on the right. because I'm importing the categories, I'm not actually using this one because I don't have a featured image. I'm using the ACF one. And then I continue to step 4. And then you have to give this a unique identifier for it to save. And it's always the title for me. Scheduling options. I don't schedule the podcasts themselves because I'm only going to import it once ever. So for these, I do not schedule. We're going to do episodes in a minute, and I'll show you how I schedule. And then under advanced settings, I just give it a friendly name so that it looks nice on the front end. And then you continue, and it does the import. And that's all there is to it. So now let's look at episodes. So this is one I just added the other day. Rather than go through a new, I'm just going to edit the template because everything else is pretty much the same. Again, if you're, I have an episodes template, and it's very similar. There's a title description, comes from this item over here. This particular podcast is very new. They came out just a couple of weeks ago. And when I first added it, they did not have an image. They didn't even have a link to each episode. And so I was able to go back to them and say, hey, you may want to update this. Just so you know, there's a new feature at YouTube where they can do podcasts. They've always had RSS, but podcasting is a new feature where they actually include the media in the RSS. And so this is the first YouTube podcast I've seen in the wild. I'm not using excerpts, so I skip. Images, it's the same as before. You can click on href and it just puts it there. Custom fields. This is an interesting one. On the front end, let's go. I've got to do this. I wanted to showcase these items, but I didn't want to steal content from the creators. And so I'm using a plugin. Let's open another tab. Let's see, what's it called? Page Links To by Mark Jakewith. This is quite an old one. And what it does is let you say that rather than have a permalink on your own site, the permalink is some other site somewhere else in the world. So I'm going to edit this one, and it makes fields. Did I pass it already? Where is it? Oh, it's here in the bottom center. It allows you to say, point this to its normal URL, which means it does nothing, or a custom URL. And so I made it go to the source and open in a new tab. So when you're looking here and click, it goes here. Even if you have the actual permalink of the post. So the tweets that go out have a link that comes here, but it immediately redirects to the source so that all of the listens, all of the page views, and all that go back to the original creators. So that allows me to have this cool page, which highlights all of these things. And I think it's a valuable collection. Someday I hope to get sponsorship. You can see I have some right here. That shouldn't be there anymore. But it doesn't detract from them. They get their own sponsorship. I'm not stealing from their sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. So coming back to here, custom fields. I looked in the database and I found that there's only 2 fields for that plugin. Links to target. If there is anything like _blank, then it's turned on. And links to is just this link right over here on the right. So that's all there is to make it link out to the other one. I'm not using ACF for episodes. This is how I connect them to their category. I just put in the category title right here, and that's it. I'm not doing tags. Well, yeah, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes I do tags if there are any over here. It's surprising how many podcasts do not tag their episodes at all. There isn't even a field for it. It's sad. If you ever do a podcast, make sure you tag your episodes. I do languages so that the Spanish ones are marked as Spanish, etc. Other post options, I don't mess with these. I want them published, comments are closed, etc. Function editor, I'm doing the same thing here, posting to Twitter. It's the identical one as before. And then after that, it's the exact same as the categories. So I update my template, I hit import. In fact, I can do it. I'm going to run the import right here. Oh, we didn't look at scheduling. We'll do that here in just a sec. How long this takes varies based on the server. So that just did 9 records. I have done 200 records in that much time. I have done 10 records that take an hour. It really depends on the host serving the RSS. So it processed them. It updated 9. I wonder what it added or updated. Usually it skips if there's no update. So let me go back and look at settings so you can see scheduling. Oh, wrong one. Setting. So there's the thing that keeps them unique. Scheduling options. So when I first got this, I thought, oh, I'll just set up cron on my local machine to hit a URL and run the process, because I'm a total nerd and I do things with cron. But what I learned is that WP All Import does a lot of things in parallel. So say you're downloading 200 items, it's going to download 10 of them 20 at a time all at once. And so hitting cron just doesn't work. So I pay $10 a month for their service, and it gives me this UI until I can just say when I want it to run. There are instructions on how to do it yourself, to be fair. And I looked at them and thought, I will happily pay $10 to not do that. So if you're intent on not paying for the plugin, you can. They even give you the instructions. But it's way worth it. Advanced settings. Yeah, I just put in a friendly name and that's it. Imports are listed on this page in the order that they have run most recently. So today you can see it ran a whole bunch, but you'll notice that they're all something episodes. You go way out to the end. Oh, these are old episode ones. Let's click it right. Nope. Come on. Oh, that just advanced. I want 7. There we go. So here we are in 7. You can see a lot of these are podcasts, because these haven't been updated in months. In fact, this one, last activity a year ago, I actually turned it off because the WP Sofa doesn't even run anymore. WP Mainline doesn't run anymore. Yeah. So scheduling, you really only want to schedule your episodes. Your podcasts are going to be the same. I used to think about getting rid of a podcast if they shut down, but from what I have found, most podcasts, even if they shut down, they leave up the episodes. So Pippin Williamson did a podcast for years, and he quit probably 6 years ago, but they're all still there, and they're all business knowledge. So it's not like it expires or anything. So they're all still in here, which is why there are so many here on the right. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Some cool data if you're interested. If you look at archives by month, it tells you how many there were in a month. And if you go back, you'll notice there were a ton more episodes per month during the pandemic than there are now. December had 84, November had 90. We're into the hundreds through this last summer. But like back in here, we were consistently at 150. I think September 2021 had the most WordPress podcast episodes of any month. 210 episodes in 1 month. I can't even imagine listening to all that stuff. So I mentioned that it doesn't really matter what tool you use. I used Feedsy and also WPL import. There are other RSS importers on the plugin repo. If you want to do this yourself, it's not that hard. Let's see. Nope. I'm looking for function. Get RSS. So there's a WordPress function called get RSS. You give it a URL and how many items you want, and it pulls it in, and it makes it creates an object, the RSS object, and then you can simply print out each item. Oh, there's no notes on this one. That's sad. But it's similar to this. RSS items for each blah, blah, blah. Item link, item title, item description. So you grab all that data and you pipe it into save post, and you have done basically what WPL import is doing. It doesn't manage scheduling for you. It doesn't manage creating a map for you, but it's not that hard. And if you want to, you can. Kind of sounds fun to make a tutorial on how to do it too. So if anybody would want a tutorial on how to do that, that will not fit in today's talk, let me know. And I can do that. Do we have any questions so far?
I don't believe anything's come through yet.
Okay. I don't have a whole lot more. So now would be a great time for questions. I can show some other stuff I have done with these feeds. Let's see. We'll go to. So in my right sidebar here, I have latest stuff from around the network. But this one right here changes the most frequently. HeroPress essays come out once a week. Hallway chats every 2 weeks. But the latest WordPress podcast episode, obviously there are some every day, and it just peels off the top from the list. So if you wanted to throw this into your RSS reader, let's see. Go back here. Oh, it's already there. Let's see my desktop. This is my RSS reader. Do I have any? Nope, I don't have any in there. But go with this. And oh my. Am I not seeing them? Yeah, let's try the search at the top. WP podcast. Huh. All right, let's try this. Podcast. WP podcast. I don't know why it didn't show up. Throw the WP podcast RSS into your reader, and you get to see every podcast that comes out when it comes out, without actually having to go to the site or whatever. I'd be really curious to know how many people do this. I don't know. I can't tell because it's RSS. But I'd be curious to know how many people actually care about every single episode of every podcast. Hallway chats, of course, is just the regular RSS for hallway chats. Yeah, so that's it. Stop share.